Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Jason.
Hello, everyone.
And Stoney.
Hello.
How's it going, guys?
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making it one day at a time.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I'm really hoping that this weather starts cooling down. But they're talking about record heat this coming weekend.
No, get out, really?
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Record
no.
heat.
Well, we had that massive cool front that came through and dropped the temperature, 3 degrees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They called that a massive cool
What do
front.
they call it?
Hurricane Francine.
Well, yeah, no, but like a fool's winter, where it's like the temperature drops kind of for a brief period of time and gives you hope that autumn's coming. And
Well,
it's
I mean, it's coming. It's
Oh,
just,
of course,
we're not there yet.
but it comes in waves. Like we'll have these
Right.
moments where it'll dip down for a while, and then of course it just goes back up before like it really gets cold for a while.
And I'm actually can't even talk right now. Fixing to go on vacation next weekend.
Where to?
Orange Beach.
Oh, there you
But
go.
unfortunately, the weather's talking about a storm out in the
Oh,
Gulf.
come on.
Yes.
Not again.
Believe it or not, the models are showing potential development. Where it will go, they don't know. So,
Are you just like going to go chill out on the beach? Or have you
well, I'm going with my girlfriend, my family. It's going to be several of us there, and golly, I'm hoping that this thing doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way: if it develops into a named storm, then they will cancel and reschedule us.
Okay.
If not,
Then they just keep the reservation.
then they force you to keep the reservation.
no.
You just go sit in the rain. So
Well, the Francine just kind of came through here, and when it
Yeah.
originally looked like it was going to come through Texas and Lake Charles, all of a sudden it kept moving, and then it looked like it was going to come directly through Baton Rouge, but then right before it did, it took another swerve to the east.
Right.
Apparently, even a hurricane, if it doesn't have to drive through Baton Rouge, it's not gonna.
no,
Yeah,
It didn't count. Yeah, it's
the
like, you know
hurricane
what?
said, "Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm sorry. No,
I'm not even going to worry about it.
I'm not even
That's
gonna
a good
try.
point.
Yeah.
Even Mother Nature, basically.
Even Mother Nature doesn't want to go through Baton Rouge
No.
right now."
Okay, well. there you
Yeah,
go.
it's
So funny.
terrible. But
crazy.
yeah, so
Hey, well,
we'll see
here's
what
hoping-
happens
Here's hoping that it all blows.
because we're supposed to leave next Friday.
You guys going for like a whole week, or is it just like a little?
Just a short, like a 3-dayer.
Okay, that's not bad.
So we're going to supposedly leave Friday morning,
Yeah.
and then we'll be coming back Monday afternoon.
Did I tell you guys about the trip to Houston I went on?
No, but
No.
I see a Buc-ee's
Yeah, you
cup
do.
over there.
Yeah, I stopped by the Buc-ee's. I was able to go out to Texas to go see a show. I went with my best friend.
Oh, yeah, you did tell us about that.
And it was a great experience. But of course, in the process of that, I was able to come back and get some souvenirs and stuff. And it was so nice to just get away for a couple days. It's been very busy for me.
I hear they're going to be building a Buc-ee's in around Lafayette.
Really?
Yes.
See, I heard it was North Louisiana where they were going to.
Well, they're building one in right there around Ruston, but they've the talk is, because I saw it in the Lafayette newspaper, that they bought land that they're going to probably build right there around. If y'all are familiar with that area around where Louisiana Avenue is,
Right now I know currently the Buc-ee's that we have next to the Louisiana area is not until you get, I think, like into Alabama or Mississippi.
I think
or Houston. So there's like, it really is like there's, there's like it's a travel either direction, east or west, to get to one. So I think it would probably be smart to have one. At least
Well, I
in
mean, there
Louisiana
was
somewhere.
supposedly one was going to be built in Baton Rouge, and it was all set right
that
there.
fell through big time.
And that was right around the flood. And after
Really?
the flood in
Oh.
26, it was supposed to be built right there at Millerville.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that would have been
I-12
that would
at
have been-
Millerville.
Yeah, well, there were
been
some
big.
other things that happened too with our
Yeah.
current administration in the area.
Yeah.
And yeah, The flood was just the reason they
quote,
gave, because they didn't want to say the real reason they backed out of that in public.
But I mean, that would have been that's a big area, or at least passing through.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Before all that was developed, that's what's developed out there. That was supposed to be the location of the Buc-ee's.
Wow.
Here, and I mean, I heard rumors that there were some problems with the permitting and
of course
all the stuff that goes
logistics
into the building something of that nature.
It's big. Like I've been to 2 different ones so far.
They're huge.
They're huge.
Yes.
I mean, hey, but they're awesome.
As a matter of fact,
not only are the buildings huge, you got to have a lot of parking.
Yeah.
And egress. You have to be able to get to it, and you got to think big trucks got to come in and out of it. So you got to change a lot.
Yeah.
You got to change the way the interstate works, the on-ramps, the exit ramps, how they get to it.
I've been very curious how that would have worked, because I don't know if they would have kept the same configuration that now.
That may have been.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, that's part of the process.
Because so far from what I've seen, Buc-ee's has a standard, and they do not deviate from the standard. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, well, let's do it our way. And they're like, nah, we'll just go ahead and back out.
And then the flood happened, and then that whole property went underwater.
Yeah.
And I think that would basically say, you know what, maybe
the
universe is speaking at that point.
Excuse.
Yeah. Maybe this isn't the best investment. Let's go ahead and hold off.
But my understanding is one will be built around Louisiana Avenue.
Interesting.
And, of course, the one that everybody knows in North Louisiana around Ruston. There was some concessions as far as monies and stuff like that, if I recall, that the area gave Buc-ee's to build there. So, it would have been nice to have one. I thought it would have been an ideal spot for one.
Right.
And, but, things happen.
It says plan to open in Lafayette in 2025.
Yeah.
At the intersection, you said of Louisiana Avenue and Interstate 10.
There's a lot of open land there.
Wow.
So I can see
that's
why.
actually recent, 2025. Man, that's
they're going to start. They're going to start. Because I drive out there quite a bit, and so I mean, I'll look and go say, they got plenty of land to work with there. They've got no issues.
That's cool. I'm excited about that. That's fun.
So when you're traveling west, in the future, you won't have to wait all the way to Texas to go to a Buc-ee's. So
that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But
we'll have our own Buc-ee's.
Yeah, there you go.
And you know what? I'm just not a huge I don't really understand the big thing about them.
I mean, I'm not really. I was never really either. But I will say, like, going there. I mean,
I've been there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
I mean, world-class bathrooms. I
the
will
bathrooms,
say the bathrooms
they
great.
go out of their way to keep the bathrooms nice.
But for
and big and
for me, it was nice to have a not only did I get a couple of souvenirs for the family and myself as well, but they got some pretty good food out there as well. So I was like, I was
going to go there before my accident, and I lose my sense of smell and taste. They had the beef jerky.
Mm-hmm.
They got some of the best beef,
really
jerky, cracklins. They got all kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
I can't taste it now, but that was always fun.
I wasn't super big on the hype of it all, but then, like I said, I got a couple of souvenirs and looked around, and one of the employees there was hyping up this chicken sandwich they had, and all the pulled pork they had there, and I was like, I looked at it and I was like, I'm so hungry right now, and that looks amazing. And I tried it and I was like, yep. It was so good. But anyways, enough talking about all of our extra stuff. What do we got on the dock for? I mean, you could talk about what you want to talk about something else.
No, I like talking about Buc-ee's because actually that was when Miranda and I first started dating.
Yeah,
we took a trip to Houston.
There you go.
And she took me to my first Buc-ee's.
How fun!
And it was kind of neat.
Yeah,
it was neat. We stayed in there for a couple hours,
goofing
around, looking at everything, checking stuff out.
I got myself a little fridge magnet. I got a little canteen. I'm not gonna say it on the show, but one of those two is a gift for someone special.
You can say it on the show.
Well, I think
I can't see it that far. What is it?
I think she listens. It's gonna be for my mom. I have a little canteen right there.
Well, we don't want to say that.
I know
what. Okay.
So, anyways, I got those, and got a little sweatshirt, and I was like, hey, I'll get some merch while I'm out here.
People love their Buc-ee stuff.
I know.
People love their
especially
Buc-ee
I feel
stuff.
like in this area, again, because you have to, in like the greater Louisiana area, you have to like really travel east or west. It's
You got to go at least 4 or 5 hours to get a Buc-ee's.
So what I'm saying is anybody in this area that has Buc-ee's, you're like, oh, you traveled somewhere to go get your stuff, is what it feels like.
It's like a badge of something.
Yeah, exactly, right. I think it's cool.
So we had one of our avid listeners sent me something. They had listened to our episode that we did on genetic genealogy. Mm-hmm. We got some pretty good responses from that one.
That was an interesting episode. I really like that one.
And I don't know if it's because of what we said on our show, but promptly after our show, the entire board of 23andMe resigned, leaving the CEO by herself.
That's
the
scary.
Entire board. Now, also, we announced on the show that BlackRock had bought up Ancestry and 23andMe.
Okay.
And so people are concerned now because their genetic markers, which will make you more likely to develop certain diseases, cancers, and other abnormalities, with access like this, what will BlackRock be doing it? They'll be selling this information to health insurers, which could raise prices.
Of course.
Interesting.
So, what do you do there? They're not going to lower prices because of this information.
Right.
But they can go, oh, no, you're going to do this, so we're going to have to charge you more.
Yeah, I think I saw something to the effect that they disagreed on the path forward. Mm-hmm. It was two different visions. So the CEO was probably thinking grand things of how much money now, with BlackRock backing them.
Well, BlackRock doesn't want to back them. They just want the information. They're going to sell that information. They're going to make their money, and then they don't give a shit past that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but they own it now. So, yep. I mean, that's part of it. Mm-hmm. So, but that's what I'm saying. So the board basically, a lot of these people got involved with this company with,
good intentions.
Good intentions, and this is what but unfortunately, a lot of industries, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people start off with a noble purpose or a good idea. No one is thinking of how, as things evolve and how it gets perfected, that all of a sudden other companies look at it or other individuals say, well, now this can be used for this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they do.
But what was the last show about? How genetic genealogy was a new tool in forensic to look for criminals.
Correct.
Okay, so that actually ties into why would BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard and their subsidiaries want to be buying all these homes, buying all this information, if they could forensically stop a criminal from being found? Because the show today is going to be about actually the second attempt on Donald Trump. So what if they could magically make some information disappear because we found out that this assassin was also in a BlackRock commercial?
Yep.
Okay, think about that. What are we doing here when we have people that can be turned, changed? We need to hear what Brandon Iglesias might have to say on some of this stuff with nanotechnology. And
I'm beginning to wonder.
Do you know that episode has now reached over 700 views on our YouTube channel?
Oh, wow.
That scares me a little bit.
And that's on top of the other views on our other stuff.
Well, we had him for another show too. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
there are two other shows.
The most recent one that he
right.
was on. I'm talking
so
about. Sorry.
It's I would be very curious about what is really going on with this. You don't think, it's almost getting like James Bond type stuff. Right. It really is. Yeah. It's so incredible that it's hard to really wrap your mind that there might be some actual truth to this, that some of these people are just wigging out and doing things that just you would go, there's a lot of people that don't like political candidates. But
you have to look at the narrative.
This is
Jason.
a whole different ball game.
Let me throw this in there. Let me throw this in there right quick. As Ian likes to say, hear me out. What do they call Trump?
A number of things.
Well,
no. Think about
an
this.
existential threat to democracy.
No. What term do they use? Okay, if you were a football player and you were alive, what are you? You're a former football player.
Right.
If you die, what are you? You were an ex-football player. And they refer to Trump as the ex-president of the United States. They can't even give him the courtesy and respect to still be alive. They are killing him in their words. This is a subliminal thing that they are using to write a narrative. Okay? When you look at the amount of security that former President Obama has compared to former President Trump, it's ridiculous. Former President Obama has 3 times the security that former President Trump has. Why?
Well, the canned response from the Secret Service would be that he is not the sitting president and he would not get the vast majority of resources that
neither is President Obama, but yet he still has 3 times the security detail that former President Trump has. And Trump is a closer to being a sitting president because he beat Obama. Well, so Obama's even 4 to 8 years out more.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the sitting president and what they allow.
Exactly.
So, it stands to reason that because you have a Democratic president that's, well, let me put it this way. Supposedly we have a sitting president.
Right.
We don't know what he's doing because it seems like every time he's going on vacation, he's sitting on the beach and he's pretty much got his eyes closed and he's just chilling out like any of us would do. But so I don't know who's running the free world right now, but that's neither here nor there.
A lot of people are saying it's Obama.
Well, it may be. It might be him. We don't know. We can speculate. I wouldn't be surprised if there's probably a group of people that are really running the country right now because Vice President Harris is out campaigning, so she's not doing much governing.
Right.
So, who exactly is running the show? I mean, technically, the third person in government should be the Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's right.
In the order of succession, he would be, if the president and the vice president would be incapacitated, he would take over. Mm-hmm. So, in all reality,
they're incapacitated
Mike Johnson should be running the country.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But he's not. I mean, you know that because there's a cabal of people probably doing this right now, and that's what's concerning is no one seems to even care.
Yeah.
I mean, that's disturbing that we have foreign adversaries right now that know we're weak, and we are right now tearing ourselves apart over this, and it's just I never thought I'd see my country just what it is right now. I mean, we're not in a good place at all.
Well, I think Governor DeSantis agrees with you because he has refused to turn over.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, I do too, because
somebody needs to stand up and do something.
How can I turn over this information to the FBI, who's done nothing but the last 3 years to try to indict and convict this guy? They're not going to do anything, so he won't turn it over. He says the investigation will be conducted by the Florida Highway Department of Law Enforcement and Florida Highway Patrol because the people, and this is a quote, deserve the truth about the would-be assassin and how he was able to get within 500 yards of the former president and current GOP nominee. And this is one thing the media keeps going, well, he never had him in his sights. He never could actually see the president. Okay, who here has played golf? Raise your hand, please.
I have.
Okay. He was sitting in the bushes. Now, apparently former President Trump was at hole 5 when all this was going on. He was sitting waiting for him to continue through the rest of the holes where, guess what? He would have come in sight.
Right.
And he was there by his own phone records 12 hours waiting.
Yep.
So he was waiting for him to get there and mosey on through the golf course. But then tell me this too. Think about this. It was an unannounced golf game.
Yep.
How'd he find out? Yep. Who told him?
Well, I was watching a program that there are some people in our government that fear that our security apparatus has been compromised, that they are people that are feeding information to our adversaries of where our
100%.
elected leaders are, their schedules. I'm reading here in The Hill, was reporting there's a task force that's been set up. The House Task Force investigating the assassination attempts against former President Trump have been scheduled for its first hearing on Thursday, September 26. The hearing will be focused on the Secret Service reliance on state and local enforcement at Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where a gunman opened fire. The former president was grazed by a bullet. One person was killed and 2 others were wounded. Spearheaded by Chair Mike Kelly, Republican, Pennsylvania, and Ranking Member Jason Crow, Democrat, Colorado, the bipartisan task force will expand its scope after a second incident threatened Trump's life. So, at least they're trying to find out. Now, I just also read that they just passed a supplemental bill.
Yes, they did.
Which I'm glad to see.
Hugely funding additional support for the former presidents, their spouses, etc.
Man, like at this point, it's got to be, for me, it would be one attempt is, already scary enough, but having a second attempt, man, it's like, that's hard to justify. Like, how do you move forward now? Like,
well, somebody asked that very question. He's like,
right.
I'd have been done the first time. I'd have been out.
Right.
What's pushing Trump?
I'm not saying that like motivation. Like, I know what his, I feel like I know what his motivation is. I understand what's driving him. But I'm talking about like also from like, I'm talking about more fundamental than that of like now. Again, I don't know Donald Trump's context, so I don't know who he surrounds himself with as far as like security goes. But for me, I'd start to ask some like hard questions about like, what am I paying you guys for?
Mm-hmm. Well, his security's kind of out of the picture. Right. They take a secondary front to the Secret Service at this point.
I got you, but I'm still talking about like, in my mind, where I'm coming from is like, you guys have one job, keep me alive, and you guys are doing a pretty awful job at that. Sorry. Again, we're talking about some situations where like I'm so glad that they were able to catch it beforehand, and I'm not saying that people probably didn't like stake out that place beforehand, but like I'm talking about moving forward. If we're talking about like a potential third attempt or, heaven forbid, a successful attempt on his life, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, at least that's what I'm coming from. Of like, again, like if maybe I hold like job and title and rank higher than I probably should, but like if you got one job, dude, and you can't get that, like you can't figure that out, man.
You got to remember, coming from private sector protective services of 24 years, I got some questions too.
I've never been in that space.
Yeah.
I've never been that, but I'm just talking about like if I had one job to protect one person. Man, I know we're in a world now where, again, people are probably spreading information about where we all are, and it's hard to like get a wrangle on those things. So I'm trying to be sympathetic, but man, it's also like, come on.
interesting fact is that a number of the libraries in our area have moved the conspiracy theory section to current events. Because obviously the deep state wants Trump out of the picture, because their house of cards is going to come down if he becomes president. And let's just look at what we know. Okay, this guy made $3,000 a month doing roofing.
The person that attempted
is that Ralph? Yes. Ruth or whatever, however they pronounce
Ralph,
his last name?
Whatever his last name is. I don't even care enough to say his name.
Right.
How did he buy a first-class ticket from Hawaii? How did he live in an $8,000 a month place in Hawaii? He can't afford to pay his child support. And on that monthly salary, he was traveling around the world, globetrotting, trying to recruit mercenaries to fight in the Ukraine war, of which he went to try to fight, and they said, yeah, you're crazy, go away. So he was even denied to take up arms in a current war because somebody thought he was just a flake. But he was going around trying to recruit mercenaries to fight in this war. Where is he getting the money? How are they going to pay these said mercenaries? Somebody paid this guy and helped him do this. Somebody gave him the information on where former President Trump was going to be on a day of an unannounced golf trip.
Well, right now, according to government records, the Secret Service is operating with 400 fewer employees than Congress has authorized.
Wow.
So they're short.
But you also have to remember, these things happen when this administration takes hits in congressional hearings. At the very same time, former Chief of Border Patrol Agent Aaron Hitaiki was ordered, he announced under oath that the Biden-Harris administration ordered him to cover up the disaster at the border. Number one, data hidden on terrorist encounters, 150,000 flights of illegals to Texas, and zero resources to track fentanyl. At the same time he was saying this assassination attempt happened. This was at the same time of the Uvalde shooting when Hillary Clinton was appearing before Congress for her bullshit on emails and everything, all her failures as Secretary of State.
Well, right now, I do believe the Secret Service is strained. I think, because they've expanded their outreach of the amount of people that they are protecting. Because not only you've got technically the sitting president, Joe Biden, you got to have, he's the president. Mm-hmm. So he gets the vast majority of resources.
Sure.
Right? But you got Kamala Harris, who's kind of like acting as president in charge. And then she's got to have protection. And then you've got Trump, who's also a very, very, is a lightning rod as a figure and being a former president and just everything going on. I mean, I can understand how the Secret Service is right now at a point where they're just overloaded. I can see that. I do worry though about the potential compromising position the agency may be in right now with if what I've heard from just reading some sources that there are some people that are concerned that the agency may be compromised by foreign officials. So I
got a crazy idea. Let's stop paying $150,000 for an illegal alien to buy a home in California and stop giving them $4,500 a month for living, and let's beef up the Secret Service.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about that on this show before, about I think we should take care of ourselves first before we try and take care of other people.
There have been 45 men elected president since the country's founding, and 40% of them have experienced known attempts on their lives. 4 presidents, Abraham Lincoln, James A. Garfield, William McKinley, and John F. Kennedy, have been assassinated. While Trump and Theodore Roosevelt were both former presidents when they were shot, Ronald Reagan was injured in 1981, which almost ended his life. And then, what was it, a month and a half later, he was in Germany for the wall coming down when a balloon popped, and he famously said, "Missed me." That was great. Well, Ronald Reagan there. 13 others: Andrew Jackson, William Howard Taft, Herbert Hoover, Franklin Delano, Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden have had known plots or failed attempts to end their lives. Now, what a lot of people don't know or remember is when John Wilkes Booth killed Lincoln, on the same night Lincoln was killed, his Secretary of State, William Seward had an attempt on his life. They were trying to take the government out.
Right. That was John Wilkes Booth, and basically a way of destabilizing. That was the last gasp of the Confederacy to try to destabilize the U.S. government and continue the war.
You could say the Confederacy, but you really can say the Democrats. Yeah. Because they both came from the Democrat Party.
Right. So, I mean, I don't want to.
Now, how is he still not in jail?
He's not?
Well, no, he's in jail for this act.
Okay.
But he's got more than 100 criminal counts that have been filed against him. He's been in jail. He's been interviewed on camera by every major news agency. And yet he's been interviewed by the FBI, the CIA. Why was he already not in jail? Because this is one of the things leading people to say he was pushed in this direction.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No one wants to kind of go off on the deep end and think of, okay, these grand conspiracies, and I get it. But they're sure making it hard right now, for reasonable people to be going, why? There's got to be something going on here. I mean, the Secret Service employs 7,879 people, and that was as of February. That's the latest stats.
But that's also Treasury.
That's the whole deal.
Fun figure to throw in there. Homeland Security has 1,500 agents to help the Secret Service at the same time.
Right. He said now that trails a plan that a previous agency director, James Murray, laid out to Congress in 2022 when he said he aimed to have 8,305 staffers within a year and 10,000 by 2027. Said the Congress boosted the Secret Service budget by 9% this year to account for the 2024 elections. The agency cannot quickly staff up. The demanding nature of the job means only 2% of the applicants typically are hired, Rowe told Congress in July, which I can understand that.
Right.
You can't just have anybody belonging to the Secret Service. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like any job. It's not like flipping burgers here. I mean, you got to have people of sound mind and can handle stress. And
these are definitely not the times you want a DEI hire.
No, either. You don't want to have that, and you just don't. So it's so funny when I graduated from college. The Secret Service is who I wanted to get hired with.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the feds were having a hiring freeze at that time. If what was going on now, I know I'd probably get hired now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my dream, was to actually guard the presidents.
Wow.
That's what I wanted to do. But didn't work out. But Secret Service is they're strained right now, and if some of the higher echelon has been compromised, that's very concerning. I do believe the guys that work on the ground, I've talked to those kind of guys before. Yeah. I've known them. Those are good guys. They work hard. It's long hours. Mm-hmm. And now I don't know what's going on now, but I know back then those were some hardworking dudes. And it's a lot of stress. I could only imagine right now.
Oh, yeah.
What is going on in their meetings.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of hollering and screaming probably going on and making people's lives miserable. Like, how did you miss that? Even though it's like...
That's why I was saying, like, I may be frustrated, but also, like, I don't know any of them personally. I don't know their context. I don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't... So I'm trying to have some level of sympathy, but at the same time, like, and also I don't know how much information is being leaked or who all is, who's...
Well, we know former President Trump's information's being leaked.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So I can imagine, I got in my emotions, I feel very passionately about it. But then when I start to like look at the picture that's painted for them, and then I'm like, okay, well, they got a stacked deck against them. I try and at least cut them some slack, I guess. But
they got a stacked deck because they work with a department. The DOD has been militarized, and they're targeting Americans. Okay, our own government is using our own Department of Defense, and what's the other word I'm looking for, Jason? The FBI. All of the alphabets are being used against American citizens now. Donald Trump is still an American citizen. He just happens to be the former president and possibly the next president. But they are attacking him every day. And they think, how can, and I agree with Governor DeSantis, how can the FBI...
Hey, I don't trust,
How can the FBI actually investigate when they're the ones trying to put him, that spent the last 3 years trying to put him in jail with fraudulent and bullshit indictments over and over again, just trying to get something to stick?
Hasn't it also come out that the FBI, and I could be speaking on a turn, but not speaking on conspiracy theory, but like, hasn't something come out recently about how the FBI was behind the assassination of JFK?
Well, the CIA definitely was. The CIA definitely was.
FBI, CIA, okay. Yeah. Still, regardless, in the same kind of space, I can understand from from...
But it's still one of the alphabets.
I'm saying, it's like from Governor DeSantis' position being like, give me one reason why I should.
and he's right in one of the things he says. If this was a sitting president, the state would not have any jurisdiction.
Right.
But right now, President Trump is a citizen and resident of Florida.
That's right.
And his jurisdiction takes over. That's why he hasn't turned assassin over, and he's not going to. And I don't blame him. I applaud him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a feeling if he went to the feds, that he would somehow disappear.
He would accidentally hang himself.
Maybe, or again, all his fines would be paid off, and of course, he wouldn't be heard from again.
And the sad part about this is just kind of where we're at as a country, just politics. Mm-hmm. There's almost half of Democrats feel like this is staged by Trump.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
The statistics are terrible.
Well, I think that's just the media saying that. I don't think that's actually people believing that.
Well,
I think that's
it's like
the media.
They take polls and they say, Democrat-leaning voters, how do you feel about a particular issue? And in this particular issue, there's a lot. Look, I know some people that believe this has been staged by Trump himself.
This hasn't been staged by Trump himself.
I get that. But that's what I'm saying is where we're at right now, that we can't even, as a country, view the attempted assassination of a former president that somehow, in some ways, he brought it on himself.
Okay, he's beating her hands down. He doesn't actually need to do this. What they need to do is they need to puff her up a little bit and try to give her a shot to win. Because you got to remember this. When Biden dropped out, their 100 million ballots that they had filled out with his name on it, they can't use anymore, and they don't have enough time to write another 100 million ballots. So they got to find something else they can do to help her win. So they'll say and do anything.
The more and more I look at it,
it's stressful, isn't it?
Not even stressful. It's just like there's no, regardless of what the outcome is, peace is not going to end up on the other end of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If Kamala Harris gets in place, like, you better believe that, like, gun-toting good old American is going to be like, this is not real. And I don't blame them. And then in the other camp of, like, if Trump wins, there's going to be like this, like, loud group that's just going to, cause so much destruction and chaos. And I don't care what people say about, again, the fact that, I don't know. I don't even want to continue that statement. It gets to the point where I'm like, I just know that it's going to be, it's just, I don't know. I'm not seeing a peaceful holiday season after this. You know what I mean?
Well, we are, it's we're
I knew it was going to happen. Like, obviously I knew this day was coming, but it's just even more so now with all this coming out and again, the debate that Trump and Kamala had and all that stuff. And just, man, the more and more stuff comes out and the more things are conspiracy, the more things aren't true or all that stuff. It just makes it so much more difficult.
Well,
not getting any easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's only getting more difficult. And then the tensions are going to rise, and then, we're all going to turn on each other. And I don't think that's not the right method.
I think we're already turning on each other.
I
think,
I'm just talking
matter of
about,
fact, the movie that came out a little while ago called Civil War, they keep showing the scene where the guy is talking to these people, goes, well, what kind of Americans are you? And I can kind of see where if we keep going down this path and, people say, oh, we need to be unified and all this. No, there is no unity. There never has been unity in this country. We unify out of necessity. In all reality, we all live in our tribes.
Yeah,
we just do.
You're right, but there is a at least from what it feels like, not even in my lifetime, but like we can be opposed on our belief system, but I can still sit and have a conversation with you. I can still be amicable. I can still respect that you have a different upbringing and belief system than I do.
But people don't want to see it.
I know. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm talking about in my life personally. I have been with people that have different religious beliefs than I do, that have different upbringings than I do, that come from different countries than I do. And we can still sit down and fundamentally disagree on some very big things, but I can still look at that person and say, I respect you as a person. And I think that is a level of unity that, like, the country has not had in decades. You know what I'm saying? Where people from opposite sides can't even sit down and have that conversation of, like, I still respect you for what you believe in.
Because that's part of the problem. If a conservative doesn't like what's on the TV, they change the channel. A liberal wants to ban that TV station. If a conservative doesn't like that gun, they're not going to buy that gun. But now the liberals want to ban all guns. Hold on, let me ask you a question. You watched the Hunger Games. Who did you side with? The Resistance. You watched Star Wars. Who did you side with? The Resistance. You watched The Matrix. Who did you side with? The Resistance. You watched Divergent. Who did you side with? The Resistance. You watched V for Vendetta. Who did you side with?
Vendetta.
The Resistance.
Yeah.
When it's fiction, you understand. Yet people refuse to see it when it's the reality that we're living in.
Because they believe that their camp is right, and I fundamentally think they're being brainwashed and led into a false sense of reality. And we don't got to get into all that. And you're right. I agree that in this current context, yes, it is harder to have that conversation because everyone is so radicalized. Like, I know that now we probably won't have the unity that I was just talking about because everyone is so divided. Everyone is so in their own camps, and everyone has been so brainwashed into believing that these super far sides are the only answers. Whereas I believe if everyone is to, and I know this will never happen, but if everyone cools their jets and really comes back down to reality and worries about what's going to happen in their lives right now and worries about what you actually believe in and worry about what I actually believe in, and we all sit down and try and have a respectful conversation, I think people would have that realization of we're all just people and we all have different beliefs, and we could all respect and at least show some level of love and compassion towards each other. But you're right. In this context, with the discussions happening, with what's all happening, again, like you're saying, with people wanting to ban things and wanting to jump straight onto, stringing this person up and crucifying them or whatever, that is the current context we're in. And you're right. I can't see, peace coming out of that. But I'm saying I'm talking about we're at the finish line of a decades-long situation that is built to this. At least it's what it feels like from the world that I grew up in, the world that my parents used to tell me about as they were growing up. And so it's even since probably well before my parents' time, I think this probably was festering into what it is right now. But it's I'm just trying to be realistic, where it's I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but
well, I'm looking at some polls here. I see something. Now, this was dated September 18th. 28% of Democrats say U.S. better off if Trump were assassinated. That's a lot of people.
Unfortunate.
Well, it was our sitting president who said there needs to be a target on Trump. He did this, so he's inciting people to do this.
I wouldn't even say it's him. I think it's so much of, years and years and years of the media painting him as the worst person imaginable. You know what I mean?
Well, I watch a lot of. I
don't think that helps. I don't think that helps the case. But
I watch a lot of news related streams, and I'm telling you, they've got some people out there that on the Democrat side, they can't even speak.
Right.
It's the amount of hatred that spews from some of their mouths. It's you would think that Trump killed their dog or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's irrational.
Yep.
It's absolutely irrational because he sparked January 6th and he was trying to overthrow the U.S. government and blah 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 blah. And I'm come on, really? Mm-hmm. I mean, I've never ever despised a U.S. president.
Yeah.
I don't know these people.
Right.
I really don't.
But again, like I said, if you look at it from the perspective of people that are probably on the different side of the political spectrum than we are, that are day in and day out inundated with that belief of he is the enemy. He is the enemy, period. And are told all these awful things. I find it hard. That that people wouldn't believe that. You know what I mean? That it is the narrative that has been set before those people that may be in a different political spectrum than I'm in, and now get radicalized to this level of hatred for a person, even though you don't even know.
And I still don't. It's not like he's an unknown commodity. He was president, so there's a record.
Right.
I mean, did he put people in chains and did he change the? He didn't do anything like that. He kept us out of war. Our economy was great.
Less than 30 years ago, Hillary Clinton was standing right next to him, taking a picture and saying, "We need to elect somebody like Donald Trump as president." Oh, what did he do wrong? Yeah, he ran against Hillary Clinton. That's what it was. That's what happened.
And just something else here. I see 62% think Trump's security should be increased, and 32% disagree.
Wow.
So there is a sizable percentage of people out there who basically want this man. They want him dead.
And that's what I'm saying. Is
he's going to take away their free shit.
I don't think.
Okay, he's going to take away their free shit.
I personally think it's a combination of things. I think I've said all along. I do believe what's behind this is the military-industrial complex.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Using the intelligence apparatus, and we all have talked about some of the things our intelligence apparatus has done, what sort of experiments it's been involved in with mind control. And you can't tell me that they have infiltrated our media. It's very common knowledge that the CIA dictates what gets published.
Yep.
They can quash a story. What was it? Not long ago, or what was it? The congressman from New York, Chuck Schumer, mentioned on some program he was on about you don't want to get under the eye of the intelligence community. Wait a minute, these people work for us supposedly, right? We don't work for them. And I really believe that Trump is a threat to the established norms of how they want to do business.
Well, he said it. One day he was on an interview, and he said, you know what? They don't want me. They want you. I'm the one standing in the way.
Well, there could be. I think a lot of what's driving this is the ability to go wage war. There is no money to be made when everybody's singing Kumbaya together. There just isn't. And it's sad to say that, because that basically means there will never be peace.
Yeah.
Because there's no financial incentive for peace.
Yeah.
At all. It is, the financial incentive is for people to be killing one another.
Right.
So that means I need to make more airplanes, I really believe that pull out from Afghanistan and leaving all that stuff behind
was on purpose.
That was on purpose.
Because now you have to pay for it to replenish it.
Yeah, we need to order the new
And you
stuff.
got some people to go attack now because now they got all your weapons.
Exactly. Hey, we got to give them something they would be a threat.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's none of that really surprises me. I've often analyzed what is the real reason they hate Trump. They can't, and I'm telling you,
he's not part of the military-industrial complex. Number one.
Lo and behold, what Republicans are now endorsing Kamala Harris?
I don't know.
The military-industrial complex.
Dick Cheney.
Yeah. Really?
Liz Cheney. The people that Democrats hate it.
Yeah.
They were considered Darth Vader. Remember the talk during the Gulf War? Oh my God, Dick Cheney's the evil incarnate and all this stuff. And now they're embracing him like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Because Trump doesn't play their games.
Trump doesn't play the game.
Interesting.
And Biden, I don't know if I told y'all this or not, but Joe Biden actually has been proven something. Did you know that you actually cannot multitask? It is a medically, psychologically impossible to actually multitask. You cannot do two things at once. But Joe Biden has been proven to be the first person in history to be able to multitask. Did y'all know this? This was out just in the media the other day.
Something's coming up.
I feel a joke coming
he
up.
is the only person that can walk up the stairs of a plane, shit himself, and fall down the stairs of the plane all at the same time.
Stop it.
The true first multitasker. But no, he doesn't play the military-industrial complex game. He was the first president ever, I think, not to get us in some type of a boots-on-the-ground war.
And I'm telling you,
that takes money out of these.
I do not understand right now what is going on with our country pushing for World War III. I mean, we want to right now. They want to give missiles to punch them into Russia.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there going,
well, that's only one front.
Are these people crazy?
That's only one front. What was at the end of last year? BlackRock gave the Chinese government $453 million to enhance their military. Why did they not have all of their money seized, all of their assets seized?
Because these corporations now don't play by the same rules at one time people played. These are transnational corporations.
Yeah.
They don't believe in countries.
That's right.
They don't believe in borders. They are an economic engine unto themselves. And if I need to, for these people to come in, I'm going to do whatever I can to undermine my own country.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly
if it makes
what's
me
happened.
money, that's what I'm going to do.
That's what you're going to do.
BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard manage $68.3 trillion. That is, I can't even think about that number.
Now you're literally getting into owning countries.
No, you're owning all of the countries, because all of the countries added together don't equal that.
So that's what I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying. What is the reason they hate Trump? Because he interferes with the established way of doing business. Mm-hmm. It just is. And so how they do about it, they manipulate the news because they own all these media companies. And there's enough gullible people in this country that we're going to talk about abortion. And I have to call out women that literally make abortion a single issue vote for them and vote on, meanwhile, let's just burn everything down. But if I got my right to an abortion, then all is good.
Oh, this is the same
That's
party
to me my problem.
that said you have the right for your body to have an abortion, but then want to do mask mandated vaccinations because your body is not yours.
Exactly. It's such a screwed up deal that we have people that are can be manipulated the way they are. And if it's not abortion, then it's trans stuff, right? Who's pushing this stuff? These are all distractions from hiding from the true of what they want to do is to basically go out and launder money through wars. That's what all this is. And it aggravates me that people don't see that.
Well, it's all about the information. It's propaganda. Only one narrative. They're dumbing down. How long have I said this on this show? They're dumbing down America and our educational values. They are actually changing the meaning of words, government and media censorship, and perpetual emergencies and crises. And then we get into surveillance. We can get Brandon back on this. Transhumanism, brain chips, microbial surveillance, online surveillance, location tracking, CBDCs, and all spending surveillance. They just had somebody on the internet had a Capital One bank card who was buying something, and his card was declined. And the reason it said, I think he was buying ammunition, is that Capital One does not support this type of purchase. Hello, that goes into control. Digital IDs, vaccine passports, 15-minute cities, travel restrictions, one world unelected government, public-private dictatorships, and militarized police and bioweapons. And that was the word I was looking for, our DOJ, the militarized, policing.
Well, I'm just I cannot believe how supposedly close this race is.
Is it, or is it the media perpetrating that?
I was fixing to bring that up. That I sometimes doubt. I have to doubt some of these polls because I don't know where her support is coming from. I mean, I'm sure she's got a small, loyal group of people of like-minded politics, like her. But anybody with any common sense could go. She was the least liked VP candidate ever.
She got no
and she's
votes.
Never got a zero. Never talk about what's the irony of this? Somebody that talks about Trump being a threat to democracy. Here she's running for president. She got 0 votes from her own party.
Well, first off, we need to stop. Trump is not a danger to democracy. Number one, America is not a democracy. We really got to stop saying that. America has never been a democracy, never will be. We are a constitutional republic.
But we have democratic principles. I guess that would probably be the best thing. The idea that my vote, that government officials work for me, And my vote is that matters and counts.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, now there's a lot of people who believe I don't feel like I can do anything now to affect my government.
So tell me how, like Joe Biden beats Trump supposedly in the last election and got more votes actually than President Obama did, and he never left his garage to campaign.
Yeah, he stayed in his basement.
Stayed in his basement. And now magically, the original Haktua girl now is ahead of Trump in the polls again?
Yeah, whatever.
Really?
Whatever.
No. But this comes down from, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street owning the media, giving the one narrative, oh, she's the best thing going, blah, 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 blah. They're all saying it because they're trying to brainwash the American public into believe in this.
Well, I mean, I'm going to tell you what's telling. I mean, you saw right here the news with the Teamsters.
Yes.
For the first time, they refused not to endorse anybody.
50 years.
Not to endorse anybody.
But the problem is they took a vote, and over 60% of the Teamsters voted to support Trump.
Right.
And the lead of the Teamsters said, okay, we're just not going to support anybody.
Well,
and now the Teamsters are mad because, no, you made us vote on this, and now we did. Now you going to do it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, then, to me, them not making an endorsement
speaks volumes.
Speaks volumes.
Yes.
Because believe me, if it was, it would maybe parading that
but
out.
But the people of the Teamsters voted, and here you come down to your democracy now, or not. If they voted to support Trump, why aren't they doing it? They made them vote on this issue. Who do you want us to support? And they came out and said Trump. And now magically they're not going to do anybody. We're just not going to do it.
Because it didn't go their way.
Didn't go their
way.
way.
Well, they say polls conducted by the Florida Atlantic University's Political Communication Lab found Trump received a bump in support among voters in Virginia and Georgia after the first assassination attempt. So, I personally believe that when people go into the booth, they got to pull the lever.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people supposedly are going to pull it for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I just do, because I cannot see how anyone can vote for this person that absolutely has done nothing, has been a disaster from day one. And, Jordan Peterson made an interesting, if I could vote, and he can't vote because he's not an American citizen.
Right.
He goes, I would vote for Trump because I cannot trust Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know who. I mean, right now, with Joe Biden basically being absent,
yeah,
proves to me you don't even need a president, which is scary.
Well, yeah,
which is scary.
Well, a couple of
you
things
don't even need a president
coming to light right now are some of her videos. There's a video of her saying that you don't think just because you have guns, we aren't going to come into your locked door and either take them or make sure you have them secured right.
I mean, we are, and as I'm saying, we're in new territory with this. We've never experienced this. I'm going to tell you now, Reagan experienced some of this.
Yes,
he did. But Reagan was an outsider.
Just like Trump.
I mean, I remember the talk during that time, and I was young, but I remember the talk about, Reagan's going to bring us into World War III and on and on and on and on. And I kind of get the same kind of tones I got with Donald Trump.
Yes.
And that's because he's not a part of that military-industrial
play
complex.
that game. Reagan didn't get us into any wars. Now, he did some things that weren't really cool, but, he's the one who brought down the wall. He beat the Russians, made them go bankrupt without firing a shot.
Well, a lot of people were, whole Iran-Contra deal, and I think probably Reagan, by that time, was experiencing some of the symptoms of Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And I think he probably wasn't all there. And it happens, it happens. But but I use that analogy because I do see a lot of similarities. Of course, back at that time, there was no social media. Basically,
you still had 3 channels.
3 channels. So they had to get the most important information in that 30-minute window they had, and you had to share that time with weather and sports.
But who do they attack so venomously? Who do they attack so venomously? Ronald Reagan was a Democrat turned Republican. Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat turned Republican. Hey, Donald Trump, Democrat turned Republican. J.D. Vance, Democrat turned Republican.
Well,
I've had this saying, and I've said it before on the show, and I'm going to say it again. If you're not a liberal when you're 18, it proves you got no heart. If you're not a conservative when you're 40, it proves you have no brain.
Right.
It's that simple.
Well, unfortunately, look at what's going on, though. Who generally supports the Democratic candidates? And I hate to say it.
People that want something for free.
Well, it's a lot of women. There are a lot of women that fall within now. Single women. Let me make a distinction. If you look at the numbers, single women favor Democratic candidates. Married women favor Republican candidates. And I wonder why.
But it was also the Democrats that voted no for them to vote. 100% of them.
Well, look, we can go back in time and women.
You should go back in time. That's the point. The greatest predictor of the future is the past.
Right. But unfortunately, though, I think there are a lot of people who vote who don't have a clue. They really do. And here you are pulling the lever for someone that you don't even. A lot of it's based off emotion. It's all based off emotion, and not logic. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that just don't. They don't think. They really don't. It's all, quick. And, I'm not thinking long term. I'm not thinking consequences. I'm just going to vote because I feel good now.
But think about that. We've been talking about that. That's why our education system is the way it is. They wanted dumb people, slave-type people to work and vote in the way that they wanted. They wanted brainwashable people. That is why the education system is the way it is today. They wanted stupid people to control. People are finally starting to wake up and see what's really happening now.
But there's a lot of
hopefully we wake up in time.
But there's a lot of people, though, Stoney, that are absolutely want America to fundamentally transform. I've got family members that vote. I never thought in what they would ever vote for someone like Kamala Harris, but they're going to vote for Kamala Harris because they hate Trump. Or, in some cases, they want a different America.
Mm-hmm.
They want a different America. They want government-mandated health care for everyone. You talk to young people today, they'll tell you, well, why would I not want to have everybody to have health insurance?
Because they don't want to pay for it. They don't want to work for it.
That's well, maybe so. Or maybe it's just
Here's the thing. Everybody can have it. Go out and get a job where they provide health care. How hard is that? Go out and get a job where they provide health care.
Well, they'll say, but there's still going to be millions of people that don't have insurance. And I understand that. From a humanistic standpoint, I get it. At the same time, though, we don't live in a perfect world. We've got to find ways where we incentivize people that would want to practice medicine, right? Mm-hmm. Where there's a profit motive involved with it. And with that comes some degree of compromise that you're not going to be able to just give health care to everybody, because if you give health care to everybody the way it's practiced in other countries, I'm not saying there may be a better way of doing it. No one's been able to come up with that method yet. But the way it's in other countries, there's a lot of people that are years before people can see a doctor on some serious issues.
Try living in Canada right now.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So
it can take you up to 5 years just to find a general practitioner in Canada.
That's what I'm saying. That's one issue. But you understand why people vote the way they vote, because they have these ideas in their mind that, okay, in my world, if this person gets elected, then this outcome ultimately will happen.
But you see, that's the fear. That's what these big corporations and governments are using. What they don't understand is it may take you 5 years to get that general practitioner, but if you're in too much pain, what we can do is offer you assisted suicide. Well, this is by the same corporations and governments that want to kill 5 billion people by 2050. Okay, so they're giving you this great idea over here, but not telling you the real truth. You go to Canada, and right now, if you're in too much pain, they'll be glad to kill you.
I know.
And they'll even let you do it. And you can have now a big party, a going-away party, before you do it. Does that sound like a movie we saw a while back?
Yeah.
Sorry about the brain damage again, but I can't remember what it was. But that's what the state of, health care for everybody is right now. We'll kill you. Can't cure you, but we can kill you.
Well, you saw that. I saw Harris was Oprah Winfrey hosted her at an event in Michigan. Matter of fact, it's so funny because I'm reading this article out of Al Jazeera. So why is Oprah's endorsement significant? A 2013 study conducted by economist Craig Garthwaite of Northwestern University and Timothy J. Moore from the University of Maryland found Oprah's endorsement resulted in about 1 million additional votes for Democrat Barack Obama, who also endorsed Harris in 2008.
Well, she's a cult.
I've got nothing nice to say, so I'm not saying anything at all.
There's a cult of, her. There's actually a religion founded based on the Oprah stuff. It's just a big cult is what it is. And those people are going to follow and vote no matter what she says. Whatever she says, they're going to do it. Everybody gets a car. Everybody gets it.
Well, I mean, the same thing you saw with Taylor Swift and her endorsement of Kamala Harris, which...
Well, you know what? 95% of her songs of popularity are about picking the wrong person. Yeah, Why would anybody actually believe or think about what Taylor Swift said?
Yeah, well, Taylor Swift is...
Swifties.
I don't know anybody that, But, she has an effect on young girls.
Yes, she does.
Just like
Oprah has an effect on...
older women.
Older, middle-aged... women, single women, yes.
Her legal birth name is Orpah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of
funny. She changed it, I think, at some point in time, but I think she was born as Orpah. I think it's funny.
Wow.
Like I said, I have nothing really nice to say.
You know what's really sad about this whole thing is we've had to do another show on a second attempt.
Yeah, more than anything else.
In how many weeks?
I mean,
on a former sitting president. I mean, I'm nervous for the future. Of yes. I don't think it's going to get again. Like I said before, regardless of the outcome, if it's Kamala Harris, if it's Trump, I don't. Either way, it ain't gonna be good. Huh?
No, I just think there's gonna be either more attempts on his life, or like I said, heaven forbid, a successful attempt on his life while he's acting president, which I don't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. Or we're gonna be under some freaking regime underneath Kamala that I'm like, I don't know. Just and then again, I also try and think like long term, where I'm trying to think 4 years down the line, what's going to happen after that? Mm-hmm. At that point, because Trump can't run again, right?
No,
he's already had two. If he was to have another 4 term,
it would be. You can be president as 8 years.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So now I'm sitting here thinking who's going to be our next?
But then you asked the question earlier. Unless there's a war.
If
there's a war, and that's why they were trying to push the war with Biden as president.
Yeah.
so that they could suspend all the legal stuff. And
yeah, that happened with FDR.
FDR, yes.
And we were in a world war at the time, but I don't think.
You don't think they would have tried to push that had we entered into a war?
I mean, they probably would have, but was that the ultimate goal? Probably not.
I mean, the only way I think that would have a possibility of working, that there would be enough fear,
to
allow that, would have to be some nuclear event.
Yeah,
because all bets are off at that point.
100%.
If all of a sudden we're sitting around, all of a sudden our phones alert.
Yeah.
A particular city got hit by a dirty bomb.
Or wiped out.
Got hit by a dirty bomb. 300,000 people are dead.
Yep.
Areas contaminated now for, umpteen million years. How that might affect the psyche of people. Mm-hmm. And you could see someone persuasive enough to say, well, we got to keep the certain thing because we're in a moment of crisis. Well, it might. It just depends. Fear has a way of making people do things they never thought they would do.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like I said, looking forward long term, not talking about the whole war situation, but like once Trump is out of the, let's say he gets another 4 years and he's out of the picture.
So in 2028.
Right. Is that now, like, who is the next, like, what is the, again, like I said, it feels like it's always escalating. And I feel like maybe there'll be a lull and they won't be.
I'm gonna tell you,
but it's like, but I just feel like how much more are they going to go against the new person? You know what I mean?
It's not going to matter. And this is what I tell people all the time. If you have another Republican candidate who's somewhat like a George Bush type, you won't get the same kind of. You'll get some. The Democrats will throw some at him. Or they might not throw any, because if whoever is the next Republican after Trump, whoever that person is, if they embrace his agenda, they're going to get attacked. Mm-hmm. If they embrace the worldwide military-industrial complex agenda, he'll probably be fine. Mm-hmm. You'll have some little tic-tacs here and there, but beyond that, you won't have any. That's the key.
Yeah.
Because Democrats will always attack Republicans, and Republicans are always going to attack Democrats. It's just, if they're kind of on our team, then I don't want to attack them too much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we have to kind of keep it kind of in the room, so to speak.
Well, it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier with, the industrial complex people now supporting the Democrats.
They are.
Cheney's and all this.
Well, I mean, Robert F. Kennedy said it best.
That's another name I was going to mention.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has said it best. He goes, my father would not recognize the Democratic Party today at all. This is, back at that time, the Democrats were the party of the poor people.
Yeah.
Of the union worker, of the policeman, fireman, the construction worker. Those are the kind of people that were Democrats. And it's just flipped. Mm-hmm. The Democrats now are the party of big tech.
Oh, yeah.
They're anti-oil, but they got enough big industries that a lot of them, the wealthiest districts are Democrats.
Yep.
It's so funny how it's switched over. The two parties are not even remotely of what they used to be 25 years ago at all.
100%.
Republicans are like Democrats of what they were 50 years ago. Republicans then or libertarians
are what Democrats say they are. Republicans are for the people. The Democrats say they're for the people, but they are the ones who voted, to keep slavery. They're the ones who voted against women voting. They say they're for the people, but they're not. They've hit it really well. So,
well, the idea that, people say the Democrats were this or Democrats were that. I mean, parties are what they are based upon what the world was at that particular time.
Right.
So people say that, Democrats were for slavery and all that. Well, you know what? Most of the world had slaves, and it was somewhat of a common occurrence. Right. So, the Republican Party was birthed with the abolitionist in mind. Mm-hmm. But there were a lot of Republicans that were probably apathetic when it came to the issue of slavery. I mean, most of the issue of abolitionists arose out of a few northeastern states. It's where it kind of came out of. Mm-hmm. But, we've had in essence, a fundamentalist shift. I would venture to say what's going to come up, and people have talked about this, who is the third party?
Right.
And I personally think what you're going to start to see is libertarians become more and more, because to me, Republicans, the more extreme version of Republicans, now drift more into libertarianism.
Right.
Whereas the centrist Republican probably mirrors more what Democrats pushed 50 or 60 years ago.
Yeah.
In many cases. Now, I mean, you've got, see how and then Democrats today, for a lot of them, are just full-on Marxists now. I mean, they literally they favor more of a socialistic, communistic type country.
Well, Kamala Harris is a card-carrying Marxist.
Right.
Her dad was a Marxist and a Marxist instructor.
It's funny how he's not really been, you haven't heard nothing about him.
No.
They've kept him under wraps.
Well, they keep saying that she's African-American. She's not African-American. Well, her daddy was Jamaican. No, her daddy was Indian from Jamaica.
Yeah.
So,
I don't,
but you don't hear the truth.
I mean, look, the problem is we've got a massive problem, and I hope that whatever they do, they fix this issue with Trump and his security. Give him the resources he needs to get you through the election, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, right now, we're in a dark place right now.
And y'all go back and listen to, if you're not already paranoid, it's probably too late, and some of our prepper episodes, because we might be needing them in November and December.
Oh man! All right, well. What a heavy episode. But I think I was telling the guys at the top of the show, on Spotify now, if you do listen on Spotify, you can scroll down and there's a way you can actually leave a comment on the episode as well. I'm not sure if there's like a character limit on that or not, but I now have the ability to access the comments on there. You can also comment on the YouTube channel. You can type in Retrospect Pod on most any platforms. You can probably find us. We also have the email address, getoffendedtogether@gmail.com, for some of those more long-winded responses. Episodes like this, I feel like I always get a little nervous that like people are just going to like start shaking their fist and start saying some things. So if you want to let us know how you feel, those are the avenues that you can do that. Please subscribe to the podcast on all the channels or whatever you prefer. We really appreciate it. And until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. God bless.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. You're the best. Peace.